Welcome to The Explainer! Today we're unpacking a really fascinating piece of Vedic philosophy from the text, The Science of Purified Consciousness and the Absolute Whole. We're going to be exploring the most fundamental question of our existence, which is, what is our actual relationship with the Supreme? It's the kind of text that really forces us to look closely at our own consciousness, how it gets tangled up and contaminated by the material world, and most importantly, how we can actually purify it.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our structured roadmap for today. We're going to cover 1. The cycle of karma. 2. The illusion of the ego. 3. The stomach and the body. 4. Purifying our consciousness. And finally, 5. The complete absolute truth.
I want to kick things off by posing a very direct question to you. Who is the actual enjoyer of your actions? Think about it. When you work, when you create something, or when you achieve a goal, who's the ultimate beneficiary? Now, in our everyday perspective, the automatic answer is usually just, well, me, right? We naturally feel that we're the enjoyers of everything we do. But as you'll see, this text instantly challenges that everyday mindset and sets up the central problem of our materially contaminated condition.
That brings us to Section 1, the cycle of karma and understanding our actions and reactions.
To understand why our I am the enjoyer perspective is actually flawed, we first have to look at our current situation. The text explains that from time immemorial, we've basically been entangled in this continuous, endless loop of activities. And the source defines this entanglement as karma. Basically, karma is the actions and reactions of our activities. When a living entity acts, they forget their true purpose, they become entangled, and then they migrate from body to body. The text uses a really great visual here. It says it's just like putting on and taking off old clothes. As the soul migrates, it either suffers or enjoys the reactions of its past activities. But, and this is absolutely crucial, the text emphasizes that this cycle is not set in stone. The results of our karma can actually be changed when we act in the mode of goodness and operate with perfect knowledge.
Now, what's really interesting about this breakdown of reality is how things are categorized. The text outlines 5 items that make up the complete whole. Over on the eternal side, we have Īśvara, which is the Supreme Lord, Jiva, the living entities, Prakriti, or material nature, and time. But look at the other column. Out of all 5 of these items, karma is the only one that is not eternal. Because our actions and reactions can be changed through perfect knowledge, karma itself is totally temporary. We are literally not permanently doomed to this cycle.
Moving on to Section 2, the illusion of the ego, defining the creator and the enjoyer. So if we can break the cycle of karma through perfect knowledge, what exactly is preventing us from doing that right now? Well, according to the text, the core issue lies in our consciousness and how we completely misidentify our role in the material world. In our current state, our consciousness is materially contaminated. The text calls this contaminated state the false ego. This false ego pops up when someone is under the impression that they are just a product of material nature. It creates 2 very specific psychic divisions, the thought that I am the creator and the thought that I am the enjoyer. We look at the world around us and we think, we're the lords of all we survey. We believe the world revolves around us, and that keeps us utterly absorbed in a bodily conception of life. To correct this false ego, we've got to understand our actual position. The text introduces the concept of Prakriti, which is the energy of the Supreme Lord, and Prakriti is divided into 2 parts, the conscious living entities, known as the jiva, and the unconscious material nature. Because the jiva possesses consciousness, it's considered superior to unconscious matter. However, the text explicitly warns us against a very misleading theory. Just because the jiva has consciousness that's similar to the Lord's, it absolutely does not mean the living entity is ever supremely conscious. And this brilliantly illustrates the stark contrast between the two. Īśvara, the Supreme Lord, possesses supreme consciousness, is living in everyone's heart, is conscious of all bodies simultaneously, and is absolutely never affected by material modes. On the flip side, we have the jiva, the living entity. The jiva is only conscious of its own particular body, possesses a subordinate consciousness, and is deeply affected by the inferior material modes. Recognizing this undeniable difference is the very first step in shedding that false ego.
This brings us to Section 3, the stomach and the body, the perfect analogy for cooperation.
If we're subordinate, right, and we're not the ultimate creators or enjoyers, what is our role? Well, the text provides this incredible biological metaphor to completely reframe our relationship with God. It says the hands, feet, eyes, legs, and so on are all parts of the body, but they are not actually the enjoyers. The stomach is the enjoyer.
This is the perfect way to look at our relationship with the Supreme. Just as a part of a machine is meant to cooperate with the whole machine, subordinate living beings are meant to cooperate to satisfy the central figure of creation. We are the parts, and the Supreme Lord is the stomach.
Let's break down how this cooperation actually works in practice. Step 1. The limbs, which represent us, the living entities, gather the food. The legs move, the hands supply, the teeth chew. Step 2. The limbs feed the stomach, representing the Supreme Lord. Everything is given to the stomach because it's the principal factor. And finally, Step 3. The stomach digests and nourishes the entire body. Think about this for a second. If the fingers of the hands suddenly decide they want to be the enjoyer and try to eat the food directly instead of passing it down to the stomach, they're going to be completely frustrated. By trying to be the ultimate enjoyers instead of cooperators, we end up starving ourselves spiritually. But when the master is satisfied, the servant is automatically satisfied. Through cooperation, we actually get to enjoy.
All right, Section 4, Purifying our consciousness and freedom from the bodily conception.
Once we grasp that our true role is to be a cooperator, how do we practically apply this? Well, the text defines the goal here as mukti, or liberation. Now, liberation doesn't just mean you sit down, cross your legs, and stop all activity. Not at all. According to the source, mukti means freedom from the contaminated consciousness of the material world and being situated in pure consciousness. So what does pure consciousness look like? It simply means acting in accordance with the instructions of the Lord. It means giving up that bodily conception of life, that pesky false ego, and acting as the cooperating limbs for the supreme stomach.
When your actions are dovetailed to the will of Īśvara, they become purified. The text states that these purified activities are called Bhakti. Now, to an ignorant person, someone with a poor fund of knowledge, a devotee practicing Bhakti might look like they're just doing completely ordinary work. But internally, there is a massive difference. Their activities are totally uncontaminated by impure consciousness or matter. They have moved past the illusion of being the enjoyer and are strictly operating out of transcendental cooperation.
And finally, Section 5, the complete absolute truth, the ultimate realization. We've talked a lot about our individual relationship to the whole, but how does the source material actually describe the ultimate nature of that complete whole? The text states definitively that the complete whole, the supreme absolute truth, is the supreme personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. He is described as the cause of all causes. This complete whole comprises literally everything we've discussed today: the supreme controller, the controlled living entities, the cosmic manifestation, eternal time, and karma. Everything is due to his different energies, and critically, the text notes that the complete whole cannot be formless, because if he were formless or lacking anything at all, he couldn't be truly complete. He possesses immense potencies and form.
Let's move to this breakdown and see how this builds directly into the ultimate realization of the supreme truth, known as Sat Chit Ananda. There are 3 key features to understand here. First is Sat, or eternal being. When someone realizes just this feature, they realize the impersonal Brahman, which the text compares to just seeing the shining rays of the sun. It's real, but it's an incomplete realization. Second is Sit, or eternal knowledge, which is realized as the Paramatma in the heart. But the third and ultimate realization includes Ananda, or bliss, which is realized in complete form, or Vigraha. Realizing the Supreme Personality of Godhead means realizing all 3, being, knowledge, and bliss, in a complete, transcendental form. It goes way beyond just merging into some impersonal energy.
So, the crucial point is this: our consciousness dictates our reality. We suffer when we mistakenly believe we're the center of the universe, but we find true bliss and satisfaction when we realize our natural position. I want to leave you with this final thought to reflect on, going right back to that brilliant biological analogy. In your daily life, are you acting as the enjoyer, like a finger trying to eat a piece of food all on its own? Or are you acting as the cooperator, happily feeding the stomach and nourishing your own soul in the process? Think about how you can purify your daily actions. I really hope this deep dive leaves you eager to explore more of this profound, ancient wisdom.